Those who offer, those who accept. Let us continue by discussing the soul journeys of those who offer and accept sexual violence. This phrasing is important because one soul requests to have certain experiences to learn along its journey, and others agree to support that journey by offering interactions and dynamics that inspire, stimulate, and provide space for that requested learning. Those souls who commit sexual violence offer the experience to others, and those souls who are on the receiving end are in fact accepting the experience. Nothing happens to any human without his or her energetic consent, even when he or she is not conscious of it. It could not happen unless the soul is giving consent to experience a learning through the situation or dynamic. Each individual is responsible for his or her behavior. Each is also a divine being learning along with the collective about the right ways to love and treat self and other. Each person who offers violence of any kind to another embodied soul is living a soul journey, just as are those who receive that violence. There is nothing impactful that happens in a human life outside an agreement between souls, and we must remember this, because it is easy to get caught up in the human eye's perspective that one person has been wronged and another has wronged him or her. When you get caught up in this, you fail to see the truth of what is happening in a given dynamic. If I am choosing to be present to share a teaching with you, it will always be based in the higher perspective on why it is happening. I invite you to stay with me as we embark upon a process of learning to choose compassion for those who offer and receive sexual violence along their soul journey to learning about themselves as divine. You are inclined to have compassion for those who are victimized by sexual violence and to abhor those who perpetrate it. It is time that you shift how you conceive of what is happening, as well as alter the language you use to discuss it. One of the major things to say is that those who offer experiences of sexual violence to others are acting out the collective imbalance between masculine and feminine. As divine beings having human experiences, all of their choices serve to teach all that is, or divine intelligence, what it needs and sets out to learn. All experiences serve this learning. Humans who hurt each other are expressing free will and their souls, and therefore all that is are learning about the results of making different choices. This learning occurs over the course of many human lives, and as stated above, you have the choice about whether to identify with what you have experienced, I am someone who is hit, etc., or take all that unfolds around you as the learning journey that you, as soul, a portion of all that is, has set out to learn. I am challenging you to detach from your identification as a victim of what has happened to you. The victim consciousness on your planet now has reached a peak. You cannot step into it more fully. You cannot sink into it more deeply. It simply could not be more prevalent and more damaging. And I have begun this part of our exploration today with those who offer violence, because it is imperative that you now begin to see the truth of how this works. As long as you vilify those who have committed this violence, you cannot heal. As long as you hold the belief that they are evil, you cannot become empowered as a divine being living human lives. You cannot, in other words, accept your divine power and move ahead with your conscious awareness of yourself as the one who is creating and operating your life. So, are they evil, these people who commit sexual violence? Of course not. They are as evil as anyone who does not make such choices, and just as evil as those who receive what they offer. As stated above, all souls are learning through the making of choices. Each one learns just what it is that happens when a choice is made, and the soul, and how all that is learns along its chosen mission. It is so easy to make of these people a story about how bad they are, how evil, and yet you are ready to add in the truth that all that one experiences is a reflection of the soul's intentions. You are ready to take into your bones the truth that nothing happens to you without your energetic consent. When it comes to committing sexual violence, the soul of a person who does this has not set out to molest and rape. It has not set out to ruin the life or lives of others or scar others for life or make them afraid to trust others. The soul-level intention of such a being is to learn about certain themes including equality and fairness, free will, assertion, and aggression, including learning about the theme of desire, power, and others. From the soul's perspective, the intention could be said to be worded in this way. When I am a human in this given life, I will make choices to use and express my sexuality or my strength or desire in ways that are not loving, to see what that experience is like and to see what happens. And other souls come forward and offer to help that soul in its learning journey. Some of them will be comrades or colleagues in such choices. Some will be family members who model violent behaviors for their human manifestations. Still others enemies, or those who will attempt to block the human, and yet others who agree to be acted upon through situations that reflect this soul-level intention. All of these souls are in an agreement to support each other in their learning journeys because, as portions of all that is, they have only love for each other. Being loving in this way is, in fact, all they can do for each other. This brings up a point that can be difficult for humans to accept and process, and yet it is time that you do so. It is the question that, if this soul loves me and loves my soul, how could the person attached to that soul want or choose to hurt me? Again, I invite you to add to your human eyes perspective, the spiritual eyes perspective, that none of you can learn what you set out to learn without others, without willing participants to support you in gathering data and experience about what it is, means, and takes to be human. There is a recognition at the soul level between these beings that the human manifestations, the humans who actually experience the dynamic together in your dimension, might or will experience pain and trauma through the experience. Through your human eyes, with your mental faculties, your highly developed logical and linear brains, you can get stuck on the idea that life is supposed to be about happiness and the idea that others who love you never mistreat you. There are limitless ways to learn about what love is, and over the course of your many, many human lives lived all along the Earth timeline, the main categories of looks like love to me and is, in my opinion, the exact opposite of love are constructs of mind. They are, from the perspective of Source, all that is, or soul, protective mechanisms that your logical linear mind have created in order to attempt to protect yourselves from pain. The truth is that you are alive not to be happy and to be treated in obviously loving ways by others who are supposed to love you, but to experience all the possibilities that being alive as a human offers. It is built into the schema of life on Earth that as you learn over many lifetimes about what is possible, you hit a point at which you learn the true nature of your divine power and how everything has been working the whole time. That point in time is now. You have arrived at the intended juncture in your evolution as divine beings at which you finally see that you have a choice about how your lives unfold, that you can choose to be empowered to be conscious creators of your life, beginning right now. And when you see the truth of how it works, you then have the opportunity to release your identities gained from past experience and step into your creative power as a divine being who can create for yourself anything and everything that interests, suits, and pleases you. This is an incredible time to be alive on Earth, just so you know. It is an unprecedented opportunity to step into your power as divine beings. Related to our present discussion of sexual violence, all identities surrounding being a perpetrator, which rests in self-generated guilt, shame, and misusing power and sexuality, or a victim, which in fact rests in the same sorts of beliefs and judgments, must be dropped in order to do this. There are so many avenues of life that present the opportunity now for you to step into inhabiting your true level of divine creative power. So many. I have focused this portion of the Goddess teaching on this issue of sexual violence because of the depth to which so many humans have been shaped over time by the life experiences their souls set out to experience along their learning journeys. So many of you have been identified with what has happened to you over the course of all your human lives, perpetrator and or victim, back and forth. In fact, between the two, lost in your identities and hating self and other for doing and choosing simply what you as souls have set out to do. Any human whose soul has signed up to learn the life lessons that involve sexual violence is in any given life coming at it from usually one side or the other, being someone who offers sexual violence or accepts and receives it. Yet, the nature of soul is to incarnate as both genders over time, feel empowered and disempowered at different points of the journey, and learn about each and every situation from each and every angle. If you have experienced one side of sexual violence, in other words, you over the course of many lives have in fact experienced both sides. How does that make you feel? Take some time and check in with any and all parts of you that might be speaking up now. Those of you who are offended show you identities you carry about being a victim. Those of you who are confused or sad are those that may have identities surrounding having been a perpetrator in some way, even if not consciously. This is not to say that if you have been raped in this life, that in another life you are a rapist. Nothing about the soul's journey is so cut and dried or black and white. It is to say that if you feel that you have been violated sexually in some way, you also have lives where you are exploring a variety of ways being on the other side of where you are now. This is how it works. It cannot work any other way. If you, as all that is going to learn about an issue deeply and thoroughly, as it is your wont to do. You are learning nothing halfway, in other words. You always do it upright when it comes to learning what you set out to learn. You always explore all sides of a given theme your soul has set out to learn through. Again, There is an understanding at the soul level that there will be pain, anger, guilt, shame, powerlessness, and other heavy and difficult emotions experienced by the humans involved in manifesting these intentions of souls. However, it is important to understand that the souls involved do not feel these emotions. The souls feel, and in fact can only feel, love for each other. This is their true nature, and all they have set out to do is enabled and supported by the love they have for each other. When you identify as a victim of some violence, the person who did that thing to you is perceived to be a horrible person. That person is perceived to be evil, and that person is perceived to deserve punishment and have all sorts of awful things done to him or her. That person, in your mind and heart, might even deserve death. Right now, as you read this, if these statements resonate with you, you need to get 100% clear that this is your karma talking. The pain you have internalized in your energetic field and the beliefs that you have attached to why this has happened to you. You need to see that these emotions are the result of your experience. I invite you now to commit to allowing the perspective of soul to come into your life when it comes to these painful and difficult experiences. This book is intended to stir a healing process in you, and yet I am now asking you directly to choose to open to healing yourself. I am asking you to open to your consciousness to the truth of how these situations involving soul work and what it is that you can do to come out of the feeling that you are a victim. Take several moments now to make the commitment to yourself to be willing to see through all the apparent levels of reality surrounding sexual violence so that you can see into the heart of the matter, the truth of your experience as a creation of yourself as the divine. Commit to creating space for your emotions while choosing to see the truth behind them. Commit to opening to feel all that you are carrying in your bodies while learning to get grounded and stay that way. Make the decision now as a reflection of your divine power, as a portion of all that is, as a part of the divine intelligence, to learn how to step into your divine power by accepting all that has happened as your creation. When it comes specifically to those who have received sexual violence, whether molestation, rape, or any other form, there are some other things that you are ready to understand. The first is that the ways that your bodies are manifestations of your energy fields. When you feel sexually violated, you have had energy put into your body and had it attach itself to you. It can be the same when you have an emotionally trying time with someone. You can take energy into your field. Yet with sexual abuse in all its forms, someone has brought you energy that is violently put inside or on you. The primary way that this affects you is that this energy remains in you, within your energetic field. You are then dealing with the trauma of what happened and the belief attached to it, plus the energy that the other person brought to, wrapped around, and put inside you. Even when you are not violated but have sexual interactions with others willingly, it happens all the time that you accept energy from them. This is why conscious sexual communion is so critical to your path at this time. We will get into that later, but for now I wish you to put your attention on the fact that any sexual encounter can have you absorbing the energy of the person you are with, even those encounters that you open to willingly and because of love. Then it is true that you are walking around carrying the energies of others, those that you invited into your space and those that you did not. This affects you energetically in incredibly important ways. You must now learn to clear out the energies you carry that do not belong to you, all of them. You must send back to Source all that you carry that is not serving you and that does not belong to you. Intending this sets it in motion, yet you need to be clear on a key point to ensure that it will work. If there are any parts of you that are identifying as a victim of what happened, it will not work. They are clinging to that energy as proof of not being loved, or being worthy of being hurt or violated, or any number of other beliefs that you might carry. Get to the bottom of this. Take an inventory of all parts of you affected by sexuality and sex in general, and get clear on what is going on with them. Inventory all your experiences to date in your life that you do not feel wonderful about. You do not need to have any attachments to any beings that have violated you. Yet it is easy for humans to take the energies in and make space for them to perpetuate for a long time, if not forever, either coming in time to believe that they are one's own, or coming to believe that there is good reason that they are there, reflecting the beliefs that they were shaped by the experiences in the first place. I must deserve to be hurt, etc. To send it to Source and have it leave, you must take responsibility for having experienced it and having taken the energy on. I recognize that while you are ready to do this for your evolution, you might feel hesitant to do it in this moment. That is fine. I repeat my invitation to you to do what you need while refraining from forcing anything. If you have a lot of resistance rise to the surface, take your time. Be with it. Get grounded and get to know these parts of you, making it clear to them that you are listening and that you are going to do all that you can to heal this and to step into your power as a loving, divine, creative being. Over time, this will go a long way toward bringing these parts of you back into the fold, so to speak, after they have perhaps spent much time feeling marginalized because of their intense pain, anger, and frustration. They need to be heard, so please hear them. When you are ready to take responsibility for all that you have experienced, you must then acknowledge those who have participated with you in these difficult and painful experiences as teachers for you. You must acknowledge them as karma mates, as souls that are portions of all that is, traveling, learning journeys just as you are. While parts of you might find this challenging, offensive, or perhaps abhorrent, it is necessary if you are going to step into inhabiting yourself as a powerful creative being. Next, you must be grateful for the experiences they have co-created with you. This is certainly an important missing link in how you have over time thought of what you have experienced. When it seems that things have happened to you, seeing it that way easily facilitates seeing others as perpetrators and you as victim. Yet you are, as divine beings, co-creating these life experiences together in order that you can evolve. And so, in order to heal and release all identities that are rooted in being a victim, you must acknowledge them as karma mates and teachers, and be grateful to them for how they have helped you learn your lesson as soul living human lives on Earth. The second thing to tell you when it comes to having received this energy into your field is that as a portion of all that is, you have done so in order to contribute to the learning of divine intelligence or all that is along its extended multi-life journey. You have agreed to experience the imbalance between the masculine and feminine, including at times sexual violence, in order that the divine learn about the situation. In fact, it is true that all humans have, as souls, signed up to experience sexuality and sexual activity that does not feel good. This is part of the human experience, and you have all signed up to learn all possibilities available to humans, and as sexual beings, learning about love. This is part of the learning about love and sex. The feelings that you carry as a result can seem to be to the point that there is violence, that you are abused for some reason, perhaps even carrying the belief that you must have done something to deserve it, which you most certainly have not. And yet the experience is the point. You have participated in God and Goddess learning what it means to have sexual relations against one's will without conscious intent or consent, and to open or to be opened to sexual intimacy when it doesn't feel right. Where we arrive with this is this. Now that you have experienced all you have, you are complete in your learning along those lines. You no longer need to experience sex or sexual expression against your will in order to learn about the right ways to love and to meet each other sexually. You no longer need to encounter others in a state other than loving openness, and you no longer need to feel that you are not safe as a sexual being. You are ready to choose to always and only ever connect with others sexually when you feel yourself open in love to do so. When you do this, you as a divine being share with another divine being a focused version of your creative power, the love you carry within you when you open to another with intent and conscious awareness. I also want to be clear that celibacy has seemed the right solution for some of you to put a stop to difficult histories of sexual expression of one form or another. I acknowledge your impulse to do so, and I want you to be clear that it is not a permanent solution. It seems like the best thing to do when you are full of the energies of others and can no longer experience what you are very clear is unhealthy. When it feels right to be celibate, then let it happen. Yet understand that humans are sexual beings and need to experience the level of communication that sexual communion makes possible. I am not saying this in terms of the chemistry between bodies, as some of you shaped by patriarchal approaches to sex and sexuality might think. I am speaking of the communication that unfolds in such communion between two beings who cannot say all they need to say with words. There are subtle levels of information being exchanged when two people make love, and they cannot be shared with each other in any other way. Choose celibacy for as long as it feels right, as you approach and consider yourself with love in that way. All humans will, at one point or another, find that abstaining from sexual communion can serve them, but that reopening to grounding love physically later can affect their energy fields and therefore consciousness in positive, needed ways. Your true nature as a spiritual being requires that you remain embodied and conscious of yourself as an energetic being in a physical vehicle. It is true, in fact, that your capacity to evolve as soul, as a portion of all that is, rests in your willingness to consciously operate yourself as an energetic being while in a body. And this is helped tremendously by the intimate connections you make with those with whom you share deep emotional and energetic resonances. You have a variety of karma mates waiting to call you out of whatever your history is that you have identified with, waiting to call you back to experiencing yourself as a divine being embodied in a physical vehicle and capable of grounding love through sexual communion. These karma mates come to you, remind you to be present and leave the past behind. Opening to the healing influences they offer is important for your journey. Please do not cut yourself off from your evolution, your path to knowing yourself as the divine, because of what has happened to you in the past. Please open. Know that if you inhabit love and shed your past identities that are based in what has happened to you, you do not need protection. Can you forgive yourself for all that you have done? Can you forgive yourself for all that you have experienced, all the pain and suffering you have brought into your life? Can you forgive others for all they have done? Can you forgive all that these karma mates have brought to you in order to learn along your human journey? Can you open to accept that all you have done, experienced, and shared together serves a purpose? Are you willing to accept the truth of the soul's journey as you, as all that is, has laid it out? This multi-life exploration of all you can possibly experience as a human? If you cannot now forgive and release, what will it take for you to be ready to do so? If you are not ready to forgive yourself and others, take time now to do some home play. Sit with the parts of yourself that rise up in anger towards self and other, that might be seething with resentment for what has happened, what has been chosen, and what has been experienced. Stay open. Remain present with them. Hear what they have to say. No matter how venomous or caustic or horrible, no matter how angry, no matter how raw, these versions of you must be heard.